If it hurts, you ain't afraid to go against you, know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the game, tap, this is when it ends. Press you again, we're here for the first minute. Can everybody keep it there for 6 minutes?
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
I know everybody thinks it's cliche, but, I truly believe in my heart, that we all are blessed just to have the opportunity to be at the University of Tennessee. We've had some guys in the past that always felt like Tennessee was blessed to have us, and that's not the case, So these guys, I think they're believing in what we're doing, how we're doing things, that they understand it's bigger than us as individuals. It's bigger than me as Coach G. It's bigger than Coach Banks. It's bigger than Coach Eck. It's bigger than any one of them. It begins with the T and ends with the T.
I've said it from when I got here. The expectation, the standard is to play elite defense here, not just good defense. This is the home of Eric Berry, Al Wilson, Reggie White. The standard is to be elite. Doesn't have to be perfect, ain't gonna be perfect. We go compete for 60 freaking minutes. All right, enjoy the opportunity, enjoy the environment, and then go play our butts off, play for one another, and have a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody got me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. We play for another. We fight for another. Every fight, every play, every round. Hey, Tennessee on 2. 1, 2. Tennessee. Ball, that team ready. Ready. Ball, that team ready. Ready. Ball, that team ready.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's BoogieBentley. Not only is it Monday, but it's the Monday. Man, it's the Monday after the bye week. And I feel like we've got a job to do around here, and that's to build you guys back up. I feel like we go down during the bye week. We got to build you back up. By the time we get to the Friday morning show, y'all going to be firing on all cylinders. Y'all going to be ready to talk some Tennessee football. But we got a job to do. We got to build you guys back up. Well, who exactly is you guys? Let's go see who's in the chat. I want to roll way back up here. Let's see who the early arrivals were. Cody Pope is here at 8:25 a.m. He says, let's go. Cody says, let's go. I bet that's exactly how he said it. He said, thanks for all the shows. Well, thank you for always being here, Cody. We appreciate you. It's good to see Tony in the chat. Says, hello, everyone. Nick is here. What's up, Nick? Robin Jones says, good morning, Boogie, GBO. Brian says, it's finally game week. LFG. LFG, he says. John Mills is here. Says, morning, fellas. What is up, my friend? Let's see. Corey Aldridge is in the house. What's up, Corey? It's good to see you in the chat. Stephen Parr is here. What is up? Ron the Don says, let's go. Oh, y'all are tired of me talking already. You want Cainer in here. Isaac Smith becomes a member of the channel. Shout out, Isaac. We appreciate that support. We need you guys. We couldn't do this. I would be working for the man. But instead, I get to talk to Eric Cain. But you guys support this channel. We appreciate you. Matt Bagley's in the house. What's up, brother? Coach Jay is up at 6 o'clock. What are you doing at 6 o'clock? Go back to bed. Rod is here. Mark Wilson. YouTube recommended the live stream after Pruitt got fired. What a way back time machine. A lot of people showed up on this channel because Jeremy Pruitt sucked at his job. Lost to Georgia State. Y'all showed up. Jeremy Pruitt gets fired. Y'all showed up, but they haven't changed. Times are good now. Let's get Cainer on here, and let's talk about just how good times are.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, Eric. Look at that brand new backdrop. Same smiling face.
Dude, it has been an eventful last couple of days. Got a couple more days ahead of me. Moving is never fun, but it's also an exciting time. Hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have some things on the walls and this looking like an actual studio. Maybe get some soundproofing in front of me because I'm just echoing back to myself. But hey, good thing is Tennessee football plays this Saturday, and we don't have to sit around for another week to wait for it.
Gosh, I know, man. I hate bye weeks. I enjoy it and hate it at the same time because I got to sit down Saturday and just watch ball. Right? Yeah. You're not really taking notes. You're keeping up with the teams that Tennessee's going to play, like Kentucky. Are they making you nervous? Arkansas, stuff like that. But as far as it's just stress free. At least it should be. Some people struggle. We got into that last night. We may talk about it a little bit this morning. Austin Stubblefield drops a $5 super chat. We appreciate you. Says everybody in the Facebook group was torching me for saying that we would be playing Texas in the SEC championship. I say, let's go. Morning, Vol fam. We appreciate you, Austin. What do you think about that? Is Tennessee for real? I get it. You're coming off of a bye week. It's well, really nothing's changed since last week. But the AP poll comes out, Tennessee 4th. Let me just change gears here. Let me pull the AP poll up. When you look at that top line and you see the Alabamas, the Texas, Ohio State, does Tennessee fit in that top line? Are they legit?
I mean, yeah, I think Tennessee's legit. I think Tennessee definitely deserves to be in that top flight of programs. But again, it kind of goes back to what I know you talked about it some last week, and so did I. It's like until Tennessee beats probably Alabama in a couple of weeks or plays Alabama, there's not going to be validity to that. But there should be, right? I mean, Oklahoma's not a horrible team. It's a top 25 team you won on the road. Okay, check. At the time, NC State was considered a college football playoff contender, and it was away from Neyland Stadium. Check. You're going to go on the road this week to Arkansas. You're a 2-touchdown favorite. I recognize that. And I don't think Arkansas is a great team, but I think that's going to be the best offense Tennessee sees. If Tennessee handled business there, that's a check. But then again, they're going to say, well, Arkansas is not that good. So, so on and so forth. You beat Florida next week. It's like, well, Florida's down. Not until you get to Alabama do I think you're going to have, people coming around saying, okay, if Tennessee beats this Alabama team, then they're the real deal, or if they have a close loss or whatever. But I don't think it should be that way. I think you play the games that are on your schedule. Tennessee's done exactly that, and I think right now Tennessee is easily one of the top 5 teams in the country. But we're going to find out, of course. I don't think this weekend's going to be a cakewalk, but I think Tennessee should handle business, and then so on and so forth on into SEC play.
That's the thing. Well, they're not a very good team, right? Florida's not a very good team. Oklahoma. People are saying Oklahoma's not a very good team. We would have killed, 5 years ago to play Oklahoma on the road, beat them by 10, cover the spread, come back home. But now it's like, well, that's just not good enough. Well, when you're a top 5 team, when you're a true legitimate top 5 team, there's a lot of teams that aren't that good. NC State, not that good. Well, what if we had beat them 5 years ago and it's a top 25 opponent? Oklahoma's got a tough stretch though, man. I'm keeping my eye on them. I'm like, man, just keep winning, keep moving up the rankings so that win looks good. There ain't no way. I mean, their schedule is a murderer's row. They got Texas. They got a ton of SEC, just a gauntlet. LSU, I forget who all they play, but they're bowl eligible would be good for them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they'll get bowl eligible, right? I mean, I don't have their schedule pulled up in front of me, but they've got, 4 wins? They're 4-1. Had to get a big defensive play there to kind of overtake Auburn. Then they kicked the field goal at the end to make it look like a touchdown, score game. But I'm the same way. I said it on my show this morning. I'm like, Oklahoma picked 6 there in the fourth quarter. You want them to just keep winning, because it makes Tennessee look that much better. It pads that resume. But Boogie, I thought we knew this going into the season already, but certainly after this weekend, how it's played out with Kentucky upsetting Ole Miss. I think no matter what, if you finish 10-2, if you're Tennessee, you're getting in. You're getting in with a 10-2 record over Ole Miss if they're 10-2, maybe even if they're 11-1 because that schedule's so weak. But who's to say Tennessee won't finish better than 10-2, right? 11-1, potentially undefeated. I mean, I think Tennessee can beat every team on the schedule. Will it? That's another story. But I think with Ole Miss losing, Missouri going into double overtime a couple weeks ago to Vanderbilt, we'll see how the season plays out. Don't get me wrong, but I think this past weekend further solidifies if you finish 10-2, man, you're in. And I think that was already kind of the assumption to begin with. ESPN's Power Football Index has Tennessee at I think it was a 79% chance of making the college football playoffs this morning. So Tennessee's in good shape. Get out there, continue to play, no doubt. But, to reach your goals and, you want to play in Atlanta, you want to win an SEC championship. I hear you, but your goal needs to be in the college football playoff and have an opportunity to go and win the whole dang thing. And Tennessee's sitting in good position right now to do just that.
The ESPN FPI, it's funny because when you like something, and I like the FPI, I look at it every week, see what happens, see how the numbers shift. And when you like something, if it looks a little fishy, people are going to let you know about it. Georgia loses, and Tennessee's percentage to beat them actually went down. Tennessee's percentage to make it to the college football playoff went down a couple of points this week. So I don't know. It's interesting. But you look around the college football world, like you said, Ole Miss, that is good. I think it's good particularly because Tennessee can't control their destiny there, right? Like you can't go beat Ole Miss because you don't play them. But what do you think about Kentucky? Because I don't know. I cannot wrap my head around Kentucky. How do you get the absolute doors blown off of you by South Carolina? Then you go toe-to-toe with Georgia. Then you beat Ole Miss on the road. Like, is Kentucky for real? Or is it, as the experts say, it's a week-by-week business, man? The same team that shows up last week may not show up this week. And why is defense travel so sexy right now? Like, why is that?
The defense is coming back, right? There was no secondary play.
Somebody started that this year. The defense travels. I don't know if it was J.D. Piquel, Josh, someone, one of the big talking heads said it, and now everybody's saying it. I don't know why I got off on a tangent there.
I love the defense is coming back, though, because defense is such – and, I mean, football, you're not reinventing the wheel here, right? I mean, it's an offensive game right now, but, it's going to continue to evolve and flip back and forth, and we'll see the Wildcat emerge yet again at some point in time and try to take over the league like it did with the Miami Dolphins. More than a couple years ago now, but more than anything, you're right with Kentucky. Like I was talking to one of my buddies about this last night. I mean, how in the world do you just get embarrassed and look, like 8 of 10 passing, 30 yards was Vandegrift or whatever in that football game, and then you go and you take Georgia to the brink, you upset Ole Miss. You look like a competent football team, and I just think that it is annoying to say this, but it really is a week-by-week thing, especially in this league. And we know from a Tennessee perspective, the Kentucky game, sure, Tennessee's dominated that game, but a lot of the times it's never really easy. Sometimes it is, but you can never just go in there, at least from my eyes, you can't go in there assuming you're going to get that win because Kentucky is going to have a little bit more for you. And obviously I think that's going to be the case this year for sure. So if they can run the football, I don't think Ole Miss is very good up front on the offensive line. I think their defensive line is better than their offensive line. If you're a Heisman contender like Jackson Dart's supposed to be, you're supposed to take over that type of football game, and that just didn't happen. So hats off to Kentucky. They got pushed around a little bit on that first drive. I think Ole Miss held on the football for a while. But after that first drive, man, they really came to play. So it just makes it even more interesting there for whenever Kentucky and Tennessee square off at Neyland Stadium later this year.
I still can't wrap my head around. I can't even play the week by week thing with Kentucky because you did it against Georgia, then you did it against Ole Miss, but then I watched that Ole Miss game, and it takes you fumble into the end zone. First of all, you go for it on 4th and 7, and then you talk about charts and analytics like Butch Jones. You throw up a 50-50 ball that should have been pass interference. You get down there, you fumble, recover. It falls right into your gut. Like, you can't make this up. How is Kentucky doing this? But again, they did it against Georgia. They did it against Ole Miss. I don't know. I don't know what to think about Kentucky. But like Nelson said in the chat, I'm never going to worry about Kentucky. We're Kentucky's daddy. We sell a T-shirt that says that for a reason. Who else? Let's see. Well, I guess let's go to the main event. Alabama, Georgia. Crazy game. Not even going to lie. Not even going to lie about it. I went to bed at halftime. I was like, well, this is over. I'm going to bed. I wake up, watch the highlights. Holy smokes, what a game that I missed. Did you watch that thing?
So I was obviously in the middle of moving, so I watched the most important part, which is obviously the last 5 minutes of the football game, and seeing Alabama or Georgia briefly take a lead, and then one play later, the 17-year-old, who's 17 years old?
No clue.
One play, 75-yard drive to go ahead and take the score back or the lead back, and it was just a whole lot of Alabama early on, 28-0, leading 30-7 at halftime, and then Georgia scored that touchdown, got the 2-point conversion to cut the lead literally in half, and then from there it's just kind of chipping away, right? I think Kirby Smart, maybe it was a TV interview entering the fourth quarter or something, that says, okay, we kind of got some things rolling right now. We're kind of where we want to be. We just got to continue to go on, and certainly that's what they did. Georgia, I'm intrigued to see kind of what that game plan is, right? Because they were down so early that you almost had to abandon the run. You had 80 yards rushing in a game where you had over like 600 yards of total offense. Carson Beck had to throw it 50 times. So that offense for Georgia, like, that's not the real offense in my opinion. They were in comeback mode. As far as Alabama, man, I said it the other day, like Jalen Milroe, like when he's on, I think he's as good as anybody in the country. When he's off or when he's rattled, he's not very good, but that's becoming fewer and far between. That was the case early on in his career, not as much here lately, but he was phenomenal the other day, and he's going to be a challenge. Obviously, his legs, we know all about his legs and his mobility, and he's been proved as a passer, so that was a fantastic game. Not a whole lot of defense in that one, especially a secondary play on either side, but really, really good finish, really entertaining football game, and I think it was good for Tennessee to kind of see both those teams in those states and have a whole lot of tape to study before they face off against each team.
Do you think, we kind of talked about this last night on our fan call-in show, Jalen Milroe, he's always scared me, just his athleticism, and I think Kirby Smart said it after the game. I think he said, well, they got a SEC running back playing quarterback for him. That's how dangerous he is with his legs. They ran a lot of that, just quarterback sweep, left, right, left, right, left, right. He's so dangerous. And you mentioned, when he's good, he's really good. I think Kalen DeBoer, this is something we talked about last night, Kalen DeBoer is going to make him even better. Like his completion percentage, 82% in that football game. So I guess all that, the Kentucky talk, the Alabama talk, the Georgia talk, any difference coming out of this bye week when you look at these other teams? I may be a little bit more scared of Alabama but again, what Jalen Milroe shows up in Neyland Stadium. But are you still right where you were at? Are you still 10-2? You think that's where this football team's at?
Let me go ahead and say right now, I've got fencing people outside. My dog is going ballistic, so if you hear my dog barking, I do apologize. Hopefully, got those all out of the way.
We're not professional around here. What are we talking about?
I am at worst. I'm 10-2. I mean, I could see Tennessee finishing 11-1. I mean, that game against Alabama at Neyland Stadium. I mean, that's going to be something. And of course, Georgia, I still think is a really good football team. But do I think Georgia is Georgia of last year, where they should have gotten the college football playoff? In my opinion, Georgia of 2 years ago and 3 years ago, I don't. I think it's a step down a little bit, but don't hear me wrong. Still a very good team. It's going to be a playoff team and obviously contending for a national championship. So going to Athens still gives me some pause because I was there in 2022, man. Couldn't hear yourself think in that stadium, and I thought the moment was just a little too big. Now, this is a different football team. This team has had big moments since then. This team has kind of arrived, right? It's a well-balanced football team. Defense is really good. You've got a great run game. You believe in your quarterback. You kind of have a track record up to this point, so I don't think the moment's going to be too big going to Georgia this year in November. Certainly if you have a couple of big wins and a win over Alabama leading into it. But, 10-2 at worst. I can see 11-1. I don't know if it was game week right now. I'd probably pick Tennessee to win at Neyland Stadium over Alabama, so I could certainly see 11-1 for sure, but end of the day, any way you want to spin it, I think Tennessee's in great position. Tennessee's going to make the college football playoff, and Tennessee's going to have an opportunity to win the whole dang thing. So nothing from this past weekend really changed that. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, nothing really changed that. It just kind of validated what we already thought. Like, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Well, Tennessee should get in if they have identical records because Tennessee's strength of schedule will be better than Ole Miss. And Missouri, the same situation. Now, Missouri hadn't lost, but Missouri really kind of tangled with Vanderbilt. Still got to win. I just think it was more validation than anything this past weekend. So I think Tennessee's in a really good spot.
Let me catch up with you guys in the chat. Don't give a shit for top of the organ. I don't know which organ he's referring to you. Man, y'all kill me with these super chats. Billy Todd for 2 says, door feet, GBO. We appreciate you, Billy. UT Punkin for 2 says, did you know that Ryan Williams was only 17 years old?
I wish they would have told me that during the broadcast. No.
Yeah, I wish for all you talking ballers out there, it's almost like Sammy Brown went to Clemson. If you know, you know. All right, let's. This is more of a topic, more of a conversation that we probably should have had last week, knowing that we weren't going into a game. But let's do it now. We're 4 games in, coming off the bye week. What are your biggest surprises about this Tennessee football team through 4 games?
I think the biggest surprise so far is the dominance of defense. Again, you and I talked about this on Friday, I believe, on Lockdown Balls. I thought Tennessee's defense was going to be better. I thought Tennessee was going to be good up front. Okay, that's not rocket science. I thought Tennessee's linebackers are going to be most improved because getting Keenan Peely back and having guys who have actually played. And I thought that linebacker group, because you lost Peely last year and Aaron Beasley was never playing at 100%. Then you lost Aaron Carter halfway through. That was just not a very good unit last year. And it wasn't Brian John Marie's fault. He was force-feeding those young guys. I thought Brian John Marie was a really good assistant coach. Tennessee wanted to hold on to him, obviously. But I think the linebackers are better than I thought they would be. And then so far, so good with the secondary, right? I mean, again, like, because of that front, because of the way the games have played so far, the secondary hasn't been challenged an awful lot. But when it has, it's risen to the occasion. I think Christian Harrison played, obviously, as much as he's ever played and as well as he's ever played against Oklahoma the other night when Boo Carter, was forced out there in the first half. I think Jamal McCoy has been fantastic. I think Jacoby Thomas, I know you're a big fan. I think he's flashed and he's been making some plays. And I think Turntine and Will Brooks have been solid so far. So overall, the dominance from defense is what surprised me so far. I knew they'd be good, or I thought they'd be good. Didn't think they'd be this dominant. Of course, you're just a third of the way through the season. And then outside of that, man, I guess the surprising thing is, like, there's everybody, it's kind of funny. Like, there's a narrative out there that, like, well, Tennessee's passing game is struggling. Tennessee doesn't have any wide receivers who can get open or anything. It's like, well, if you look at the stats, it's because Nico is spreading the wealth all over. And Nico's getting the tight ends, all 3 of them involved in the passing game. So there's no true number 1 dominant stats guy, but that's okay in my opinion. Squirrel White hadn't even gotten going yet. So there's one football. And you have all these guys who can go out there and make plays. That's a good thing if you're Joey Halsley and Nico Iamaleava. But maybe I'm surprised that Squirrel White isn't kind of leading the way so far, with some big numbers. Maybe I'm surprised that Chris Brazzell hasn't jumped out there as the number 1 stat guy at wide receiver. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing. So not a whole lot of surprises so far. I think Tennessee runs the football well, knew that was going to happen. I thought Nico was going to be good. He's been good in my opinion. I thought, overall the offensive line, some issues there at offensive tackle against Oklahoma. We've talked about that, but so far, so good. I just think the overall dominance of defense has been pretty surprising. But hey, you welcome that. That's Tennessee of old, right? That's some good stuff.
Yeah, I love this tweet that Bill Martin put out. I think it was yesterday. Was it last night? I can't remember when it was. I think it was last night. Through first 4 games, 218
8:49 p.m. Eastern time last night, Boogie.
Look, yeah, well, thanks. If I could only figure out how to use Twitter. You're lucky I can even figure out how to turn this computer on. I tried to get a signal booster so we could get our signal up to the upstairs. Now I can't even figure out how to hook that up. So shut up,
dude. I have one of those on the ground right next to me right now. I haven't even tried to hook it up yet because I'm scared. So
Well, it's like, all you got to do is plug it in and click a button. That's cool because the button doesn't exist on my modem, and then you go down this rabbit hole about how they're trying to protect you by removing that button. You trying to protect me? You trying to protect me, Spectrum? Or you trying to get me to pay for your signal booster? That's $3 a month. Is that what you're trying to do? So I'm trying to figure out how to scheme and scam. But yeah, this tweet went out at 8:49 last night on September the 29th, 2024. It's got 13.6 thousand views for those interested. Through 4 games, 218 points scored, most in the modern school history through first 4 since 1933. Pre-modern record is 237. So we're talking about, you got to go back to the 1930s. The 1914, and then 28 points allowed, fewest allowed by UT through the first 4 since 1966. We got to have the same conversation, man. I don't care who you played. I don't care what your opponents are. If you're going back to the 30s, if you're going back to 1914, if you're going back to 1966, you're doing something right. And you brought up a good point about the passing game. Because you look at numbers, right? Scoring offense first in the country after Ole Miss struggled this past week. Total offense 3rd. rushing offense 4th, passing offense 33rd. But if you go look, I mean, Nico's not had to do it, right? He sat out the entire second half of the first game. He sat out in the NC State game. We didn't see until Oklahoma Nico play a full football game. But did he really play a full football game, or did we just run it up the middle for 2 straight quarters and get out of there with a dub? Right?
Like, yeah, I mean, he was out there for 4 quarters, but
yeah,
you got Josh Heupel on camera, talking to Nico, saying literally, "Hey, I pulled back the way our defense is playing, the way everything was going." And again, that is okay. That doesn't mean Tennessee's scared. That doesn't mean Tennessee couldn't. Tennessee still pushed the ball down the field a little bit. Had that big throw to Brew McCoy down the sideline. Had a couple other explosives in that second half. But
Dante Thornton was a great throw.
Yeah, Dante Thornton, and so on and so forth. You just win. You just find a way to win. And the way Tennessee's tackles were playing, which was kind of poorly in that game, the way Tennessee's defense is playing, which was magnificent, and the way Tennessee was running the football, you just find a way to win on the road. You win by 10, you cover, and you beat an SEC team away from Neyland Stadium. That's what good coaches do, right? So you're right. He did play a full 4-quarter football game against Oklahoma, but they haven't asked him to win a football game yet, and that's okay. I was doing a radio hit last week, and somebody said, Tennessee's thrown it not many times, and they've run it so many times in all these different games. Is it because Tennessee can't, or because Tennessee chooses what it wants to do? And it's 100% Tennessee's choosing the way it wants to go about football games right now. There's going to come a time where Nico's going to have to win a football game in the second half for Tennessee. I think he can do it. I'm excited to see what that looks like. But through 4 games, that hasn't happened yet, and that means you have a really, really good football team. And as long as you're 4-0, I think you're in pretty good shape.
I don't know how many quarters he's played, but if you just look at numbers, he's thrown for almost 900 yards, 70% completion percentage, close to it, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. Of course, 2 picks he wants back. We know that. We understand that. When is he going to be asked to win a game, Cainer? Is it going to be Alabama? I mean, is that when he's going to be asked to win a game? But I can also see Tennessee going out and running it down Alabama's throat and playing good D. Like, I think the problem is we've got this generational talent at quarterback that we have hyped up for 2 years now, and now it's time to see him go out and do what he does, but he doesn't have to do it, right? So it's like, we're waiting. We are waiting. When's it going to happen? Alabama?
Maybe Alabama. You should be able to beat Florida, but again, that game's never easy. This is not a trap game because Tennessee had a bye week, but going on the road in the SEC is never easy. And I think I said this on the morning show or my show this morning. And I kind of, in retrospect, I'm like, man, I was kind of talking up Taylor Green a little bit. I think Taylor Green's a pretty good player. I think he's going to be Tennessee's, best quarterback they've seen so far. The numbers might not paint that picture, but certainly I think this offense is going to be, with Jaquindon Jenkins as well. It's going to be the best offense that Tennessee's seen all year long. So, but Tennessee should handle Arkansas. So maybe it's this weekend going on the road. You never know what can happen. Maybe it's at home against Florida just because of the way Florida always is. But I would say Alabama. I would probably say Alabama. But again, do you want to be in that position? I mean, if you can go the entire season and not have your generational quarterback have to do a Tom Brady as 4th quarter 2-minute drive, that's okay, right? It's because you're a hand in business. That doesn't mean he's not doing anything. I mean, in the NC State game, he had a lot of good throws. He used his legs a ton. They went empty. He did that quarterback draw there up the middle for the touchdown. Against Chattanooga, against Kent State, even against Oklahoma, he's made some throws where we're just like, wow, man. And Aaron Murray's doing, cut-ups and diagrams and saying, man, this just isn't normal. So even though he hasn't had to win Tennessee a game, it's not like he hasn't been playing. It's not like he hasn't been good. So, again, we're kind of nitpicking here. I know it's the bye week and everything, and there's not much going on, but we're kind of nitpicking everything about Tennessee, and that's what we do, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, man, overall, balance-wise, Tennessee's in really good shape, and Nico has been everything that we thought he was going to be so far. The more, I'm excited to see what that more is going to be because I think there's still another gear left. And I think everybody that knows football a lot better than I do thinks there's another gear for Nico, and watch out because that's going to be scary when Nico unlocks that other gear.
It's just such a unique season for Tennessee. It's just it's not necessarily looking the way a lot of people thought it was going to look. Rocky Top Tom for 5 says forgot to tip the man at the door. Locked on Talkin VAWLS, and then he says, "Wow!" That's what he said. I'm pretty sure he said, "Wow." Tyler Maxwell for 2 says Bama fans at work on 1. Gotta quiet them. We gotta quiet them. Hopefully they don't have much to talk about here in a few weeks. Tyler Adams has been a member for 18 months. We appreciate you. He says, be sure to like and sub GBO. Yeah, smash that thumbs up. That's easy, man. That is easy peasy. And then if you're new around here, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. We're on that path. We're getting close to 28,000. Let's get 30,000 before the end of the year. That's the goal. UT Punkin for 10. I think Nico needs to show up this weekend. He needs 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 100 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. A game like that would give me a ton of confidence playing Bama and Georgia. If he does that, he's sitting out by the fourth quarter because Tennessee's up by like 35 points at that
or Tennessee, that's the game where Nico's going to win it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's down to the last drive. I mean, think about those numbers are incredible. I don't have that right in front of me, but that stat line reminds me of Hendon Hooker against Florida in 2022, right? Like he threw for over 300. He ran for, if not just under 100. He had like 4 total touchdowns, but you needed every single one of those, right? Because even though you were leading by 21 with 4 minutes left in the game, Florida came back, and which again I'd be fine with and all that, but that is quite the stat line. That would certainly give me confidence as well if Nico goes on the road and does that. I don't think Nico will have to do all of that this week, but hey, I will take it for sure. That would be really, really cool to see, and I certainly think that he can do it. He's capable of doing that.
Let's talk a little Arkansas, then we'll get you out the door here. Of course, they're coming off a loss this past week, but the big thing that sticks out to me with where Tennessee has an advantage, and yeah, I agree with you on their quarterback will make plays with his feet. He'll extend plays. He'll turn the ball over too. He'll make some mistakes, and that's where I think Tennessee has a huge advantage. Arkansas is allowing almost 2.5 sacks a game. That's 94th in the country, and almost 7 TFLs a game. That's 103rd in the country. And when you got a Tennessee defense that thrives on playing in the backfield, I just think that is a huge advantage for Tennessee. And I don't know that they have to do a whole lot on offense. I think it's going to be a dominant defensive performance. I'm not worried about Arkansas at all. I get it. You got to go on the road. I love me a good old cold beer, just like old Pittman does. I like Sam Pittman, man. I do. I got nothing against Arkansas, but I think Tennessee handles business. What do you think Tennessee needs to do in this game against Arkansas?
Yeah, just be you. Continue to play good defense, stop the run. I think Jackson's a really good player. Yeah, Jaquindon Jackson coming over from Utah. Of course, he's been among the SEC leaders in rushing the first portion of the season because he's had to play a lot more than Dylan Sampson. Attack the run well, defend the run well. Taylon Green, just know that he's gonna make some plays. He's gonna have a splash play. It's gonna be 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 10, and Tennessee's gonna play good coverage, or Tennessee's gonna get back in the backfield, but maybe over pursue. He gets loose. He runs for a first down. That's gonna happen at some point in time. But just continue to stay the course, spy that quarterback a little bit, make sure he doesn't take over the football game. I'm not huge on their weaponry on the outside. Andrew Armstrong's a pretty good player. Isaac Tesla made some plays against Texas A&M. I'm with you on that offensive line. I think it's another opportunity. We say this every single week. I think it's another opportunity for Tennessee's defensive line just to continue to wear them down, take over that game in the second half, because I don't think that that's a very good unit. And I also think this group's going to have a little something extra for, a guy like Addison Nichols on one side, then Danico Slaughter on the other, because, of course, they were a part of this locker room a season ago. Defensively, they have a really good edge player in Landon Jackson. So Tennessee's offensive tackles, we assume Lance Hurd's going to be back. We assume John Campbell's going to be playing. Josh Heupel, I'm just going off what Josh Heupel said last week when he says that they should be out there. We'll check the injury reports, of course, but Landon Jackson's going to be a guy that you need to watch out for. I think their secondary has been pretty decent. They've been a pretty aggressive defense, but they also haven't seen an offense that is as explosive as what they're about to see. Of course, Oklahoma State gave them a little bit of a ride. Auburn's not explosive. A&M's not explosive. UAB, and then whoever UAPB is. Who is that team, Boogie? I didn't even look it up because I
Arkansas Pine Bluff.
There we go. Yeah,
only because I was looking at their wins and losses and looking at stats and stuff from each game last night is the only reason I know that.
Well, I've obviously heard of Arkansas Pine Bluff, but I've never seen the abbreviation. But yeah, that checks out. Well, they lost 70-0 in the opener. So just be you. Defend the run the football well, push the football down the field, explosive, be multiple on offense. And I'm like you. I don't think Arkansas is going to have enough answers to slow Tennessee down. But anytime you go on the road, man, it's never easy. We saw that at Oklahoma, but I'm excited to see what the Tennessee team does, because good teams go on the road and make wins look boring, and that's kind of what Tennessee did against Oklahoma. So I'm excited for that.
If Lance Hurd doesn't play on Saturday, we got a problem on our hands. And of course, all the speculation, all the internet rumors and everything flying around about Lance Hurd. We were told, look, this is just the facts. We were told that he would have played the week prior to the Oklahoma game. Then he didn't travel for Oklahoma. Now we're being told he's going to play against Arkansas. If Lance Hurd doesn't suit up and play, do we have a problem on our hands? And what's the first question that's going to get fired off at Josh Heupel after the game?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly appears that way, right? I mean, we were told that it appeared that he was, being held out of that Kent State game just as a precaution. And that's how Josh Heupel kind of answered it in the post-game press conference as well. And, told earlier that week that he was going to be good to go for Oklahoma. Shows up on the injury report, and it's like, well, hold on. And, of course, he didn't play. And then Josh Heupel was asked about it last week. He said it should be fine. So, yeah, I mean, if he doesn't play, then certainly something's up, right? Maybe there's something behind the scenes, or maybe the injury is worse than anybody really knows. Of course, I'm not in that locker room. I'm not in that training room. I don't know. I know it's an ankle ordeal. I know the ankle wasn't responding the way they thought it was going to earlier in the Oklahoma week. But I think Lance Hurd wants to be out there playing, no doubt, with his teammates and winning football games. The bigger issue for me is, because I think Lance Hurd is going to be back and be a big contributor. The bigger issue for me long term, I mean, John Campbell at right tackle, he can't play a full football game. Like, that's an issue for me. It's not like you're going to bench him, right? I mean, you want to try to milk and get everything you can out of him. But, I mean, if you're only playing 30 or 35 snaps in a 70, 75 snap football game, that's not good, in my opinion. So, if you go back to the basics where you have Dane Davis as kind of your swing guy and being that backup to come in on both sides and, letting him play well in that defined role like he has in that role, I think you're in good shape. But certainly you don't need to be in a position where you were against Oklahoma. That's why I think this past weekend, not saying they're ready yet, huge week for Bennett Warren, huge week for Jesse Perry, trying to create some depth there at offensive tackle. So to answer your question, if he's not out there, Lance Hurd, yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions. If they lose, Josh Heupel won't even entertain the question. I'm sure if they win, then he'll do some type of coach speak if he's not out there. But hopefully we're not in that position. Hopefully we see big number 53 out there for Tennessee.
That's a beautiful thing about Coach Heupel. Even as hard as those rumors were hitting, whether it's on message boards or Twitter or wherever, Josh Heupel lies about everything when it comes to injuries. So no matter what is going on, no matter what the speculation is, Josh Heupel's always got that out. And I love it because, look, we don't need to know. We don't need it out there in the media and on social media, confirmed fact of something that's going on, if there is something going on. But anyway, Cainer, always a good time to have you on. I knew we could survive through this bye week together.
Yeah.
We did it. We're moving on. Arkansas coming up on Saturday. What do you got going over on Locked On Vols and VolQuest.com?
Yep. Today's show, looking back at the SEC weekend, kind of talking about Georgia and Alabama, talking about Arkansas's loss to Texas A&M, talking about how Arch Manning looked pretty good. There's no quarterback controversy, but Arch Manning, I know it's just 2 games, and last week was Louisiana Monroe, so I don't really take that in consideration. I know this week was technically Mississippi State. I thought he looked pretty good, so that kind of surprised me. Not that I thought he'd be bad, but I thought he looked much, much better than what he was. So looking back at the SEC weekend, kind of reacting how this affects Tennessee. A lot of Arkansas talk. Going to have some good guests on the show this week to get you set for Tennessee at Arkansas coming up on Saturday. And, of course, all that and more over at VolQuest.com as well.
All right, brother. Appreciate you coming on. We'll catch up later this week. I will obviously be over on Locked On Vols on Friday, so make sure you tune in to that. Jump in the comment section and let me know you hate me and you're not going to watch. Cainer, appreciate you jumping on, brother.
Hey, thanks, everybody. And if anybody was affected by the hurricane this past weekend with the flooding, East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, parts of the Southeast, thoughts and prayers. Man, it was a wild, wild weekend, but we're thinking about you. If you're watching this right now, we're definitely thinking about you. We're praying for you guys, and we're going to be rooting for you guys in the rebuild, no doubt, and we're going to help you any way we can.
Appreciate you, Cainer.
Thank you, man.
All right, we're rolling on. You guys know the deal. We keep this thing going. We're gonna catch up with what Josh Heupel had to say during the bye week. We're gonna go through that. You guys want to derail the show? Feel free to derail the show, but first and foremost, jump up. If you're watching on TV, pull out your phone and pull up Talkin Vols and smash that thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Also, go check out the Talkin Vols merchandise, bonfire.com/store/Talkin Vols VWO, because if you're talking Vols, you're talking Vols for life. You can click on any shirt and change it and customize it however you want it to look. You can do that with everything, different styles, designs, recruiting with Boogie and the coaches. We got a Lurker shirt, Knoxville, Tennessee. We got a clean TriStar shirt as well. We got just basic logo shirts. Check it all out. The link is in the description below. We're also giving away a free shirt every month throughout the season to one of the members of the channel. We gave one out this past Wednesday, so we'll do one again coming up in October. You can just join at the $1 tier. You hit the join button, $1 a month. That's it. You're keeping the lights on around here. We could not do this without you guys. I wouldn't be doing a morning show with Cainer on Mondays. I would be working for the man. So you guys allow me to do this, and I'm grateful for all of the members of the channel. So thank you guys for your support. But again, bonfire.com/store/Talkin Balls. All right. Let's regroup. What are you guys talking about in the chat? William says, I need one of them hoodies. Maybe you'll win one, man. Do you remember the channel? We're going to put it in the old Google randomizer. Dustin Young says, I think Hurd was out because Heupel knew they were playing on a trash field. Disagree. I disagree. I don't know why Oklahoma's field was like that. Like, it's not rained there in all week long, but yet the field is still wet. That's interesting tactic. Very interesting tactic. All right, let's go take a listen to what Josh Heupel said throughout the bye week. You guys know the deal. You want to derail the conversation, feel free to do so. If not, we'll listen to Josh Heupel, and we'll chime in as we see fit. And then we'll call it a day. Don't forget tomorrow, EA Sports College Football 25. Man, I think I backweighed my end to figuring out how to fix the problem. I think DJ Boogie is going to return because I screwed up a setting, and when I went in to fix the setting, it somehow accidentally fixed the problem. So I think I know how to rig it up. I know how to rig it up to get DJ Boogie back tomorrow night. So tomorrow night's going to be a good time. All right. Burrow Vol is up $1,000 on the weekend gambling, and he can't become a member of the channel. Burrow Ball, you're up $1,000, and you can't become a member of the channel. We got to fix that. Burrow Ball. Hit that join button. You could take that $1,000 of winnings, and you could join for 1,000 months. That would be awesome. That would be a great way. Great way to spend your money. Banjo says there should be a like button on your TV too. I think if a lot of people don't sign in, I don't sign in on my TV. All right, here we go. Let's see what Josh Heupel has to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things that we've done here in the early part of the year that we did last Saturday, but there's certainly some areas we got to get better at as well.
Does how you approach the bye week change at all with having two this year and having one so early compared to previous seasons?
It's different. It's been a long time since I've had two during the course of the year. Early part of it, certainly need to continue to improve fundamentals, technique. As you get to the second one, I'll probably look a little bit more at, the health of your roster and being intentional on making sure that you're ready for that last run.
I hate the idea of 2 bye weeks just because bye weeks suck, especially around here. Man, got to build everybody back up, got to get fired back up. We were all fired up, and then we're just like, oh, yeah, we got a bye week. Well, we're not even talking about Tennessee football anymore. Something worth noting of the bye week is Josh Heupel is 7-1. 7-1 coming off of bye weeks. So you got an Arkansas team that's coming off of a loss. They're beat up. They banged up. They played 5 games. They've not had a bye week yet. They played Auburn. They played Texas A&M these last 2 games. So they've been through it, man. They played some SEC football. Tennessee's got a bye week to get healthy. Of course, me and Cainer just talked about Lance Hurd, John Campbell. I think it's huge for Lance Hurd. We need Lance Hurd, man. We need him, regardless of the rumors and the speculation and everything going on. We need Lance Hurd. But Josh Heupel, 7-1 coming off of a bye week, 3-0 at Tennessee. And it's not like, oh, yeah, he's coming off of a bye. He played Kent State. He's coming off of a bye. He played whoever. He's 3-0 coming off of a bye week. Texas A&M last season was one of those. And what a game that was. You won with defense and special teams. Like that was a big-time win against Texas A&M. Then they also, the road win over LSU in 2022. Y'all remember that one? That was another moving the goalpost. Oh, y'all going to find out. You got to go on the road and play LSU, hostile environment. Y'all going to find out how tough it is down here in the Bayou. Went down there and beat the brakes off of them. Oh, well, LSU's not that good. Boys, you want to know why I'm saying this about moving the goalpost every single week? Why is it when Cainer leaves, I get fired up and I start sweating? This is why I am the way I am. Because I remember 2022. I remember that LSU game. I remember hearing how Tennessee couldn't handle that hostile environment. We went down there and embarrassed LSU. We went down there and embarrassed them. Well, it's because it wasn't a night game. What? Y'all always got an excuse. Always. Every time Tennessee does something, y'all got an excuse. Doesn't matter what it is. Also beat Kentucky in 2021 coming off a bye. So 7-1 all-time off the bye, 3-0 at Tennessee. One of those being that LSU beatdown. Beatdown. Bruce, they'll keep moving the goalpost if we beat Bama. You know it. Get ready, Bruce. It's coming. Well, Nick Saban's not the coach. It's not the same Alabama. They beat Georgia. They're the greatest team of all time. Tennessee beats them. Well, they're not very good. They're not very good. 85 Bears in Antarctica. Still not. Nah, we'll figure out an excuse. We'll figure out something. Always got an excuse for everything. That's why I'm the way I am. That's why I yell at people over the comments of one person. But I think y'all get it. Y'all like, man, I'm with you. I'm with Boogie. He's right. Y'all yelling at people with me.
You still anticipate getting?
Oh, Lord. Here goes Adam Sparks. Here we go. Buckle up. Buckle up and get ready.
Hurd and Campbell back for Arkansas. And when you look back at Larry Johnson and Dane, what did they look like on tape?
There's a lot of good things
Good
that,
effort there,
that
Adam.
both
Good
of
effort.
those guys did. There's some things that we can be cleaner in. Some of that is, communication that gets to them. Some of it is them. Structural change that we saw during the course of the football game too. Those guys being a little bit better, adjusting at it. All in all, a lot of really good things helped us get a win. So, got to continue to improve. That's them and all of us. Yeah, I feel like we'll have both of those guys when we get to Fayetteville.
So there's your confirmation. What me and Cain were talking about earlier says they should have John Campbell and Lance Hurd back with them when they go to Fayetteville to play Arkansas. But we heard that before, right? We've heard that before. Dylan Sparks didn't ask a stupid question. We got a hurricane tearing up America. This is the end times, boys. This is the end times. So hopefully we'll see. We need Lance Hurd, man. We need him to buy in. We need him to be healthy. We'll see what happens on Saturday. If he doesn't travel, there's going to be a lot of speculation. Going to be a lot of questions if Lance Hurd's not out there for Arkansas.
Can you just talk about like how impressed you are by the play of Ricky Gibson, Jermon McCoy at the corner spot? It feels like those guys are playing really good football right now.
Those guys have played really good football. They played really well the other night. Jalen McMurray's played really well. We got some young guys that continue to come along. Just the type of football that they've played here in the early part of the year has been a huge part of, us continuing to push forward and the way that our defense has played in the early part of the year. And at the same time, it's all three levels of the defense playing together too. But those guys have been phenomenal.
Beautiful thing about the secondary is as good as they're playing. He mentioned obviously Ricky Gibson, Jermon McCoy, also mentioned Jalen McMurray. You're waiting on Jordan Matthews, some of those young guys to come along, right? Caleb Beasley, man, Caleb Beasley has got some trial by fire. Like he's struggled at times, but he's gotten a lot of reps, man. But you look at Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson, Jalen McMurray's a redshirt junior, so he's got another year, but McCoy and Gibson are sophomores, man. They are sophomores and they are playing good football. The sky's the limit. They're only going to get better. And then you're getting a lot of run for Book Carter out there as a true freshman, right? We've seen Idris Farouk make some plays as a true freshman. Those guys excite you about the future of Tennessee football. Jacoby Thomas, redshirt junior, he's got another year. So you got to be excited about this secondary. The linebackers, of course, you'll lose Keenan Peely next year. But you've seen Arian Carter, Jeremiah T. Lander, both the sophomores making plays. Edwin Spillman, you're not going to be able to keep him off the field. You're not. So next year, I think Edwin Spillman is going to be in that 2 deep. Jalen Smith, I think, has looked good when he's played. So your linebacker room and your secondary all of a sudden is going to become a strength, and you continue to build that depth. You're going to lose a ton of guys on that defensive line. if James Pierce does elect to go to the draft, which I 100% expect, do you talk Joshua Josephs? You know, you can be the dude next year. You can be a senior. You can be a dude. Tyree West can come back. And then you got young guys, right? Jason Jenkins is a sophomore. Jackson Moy is a junior. They'll be back. David Hobbs, you expect to continue to come along. Jordan Ross is a dude. All of a sudden, when we talked about not having depth, and that being the difference between Tennessee's roster and Alabama's roster, Tennessee's roster and Georgia's roster is depth. Man, all of a sudden you see that depth on defense looking pretty dang good. Now, offensive line, of course, huge problem. Going to be a huge problem next year. You got to hope that Bennett Warren, you got to hope that Perry and some of those young guys, Williams, Satterwhite, are ready to come along. Is David Sanders going to be ready to play offensive tackle in the SEC as a true freshman? You know, Lance Hurd's only a sophomore. We got to hope, man. We got to hope David Sanders gets up to speed quick or Bennett Warren really comes along. Got a lot to replace on that offensive line. But, man, if you can't see this roster just getting better top to bottom depth-wise, man, it's coming. It's coming.
Coach, you have a guy like Jason Jenkins who is sort of worked and bided his time to get his opportunity. I don't think he played a whole lot Saturday night, but made a huge impact on the game. What can you say about his development in your program?
Yeah.
Jason Jenkins played 5 plays and had like 2 tackles, a tackle and a half for loss, a safety. That dude, you talk about getting the most out of it, your most bang for your buck. You got 5 plays, go do something. All right, how about a tackle and a half for loss, a sack, a safety? Good Lord. Crazy. Zeb Williams gifted a Talkin VAWLS membership. We appreciate that, Zeb. I like that. Y'all showing love to others. Somebody who got that free Talkin VAWLS membership? Who got it? Is it a lurker? Keg G. Keg G's not a lurker. Keg G's in the chat all the time. Must be getting exposed at work, listening while he's at work. I hope your boss. Man, what if one of y'all got gifted a Talkin VAWLS membership and you were listening at work when you weren't supposed to, and your boss is also listening at work when they're not supposed to, and you got exposed. But like, you can't really get in trouble if your boss is doing the same thing, right? How many of y'all are supposed to be working right now? We got 300 people watching live. If you're supposed to be working, but instead you're hanging out, having a cup of coffee with Boogie, we'll call it an hour. We'll call it an hour break. It's an hour smoke break. Hour smoke break. Rocky Top Tom's going to get fired. I'll just expose all of you right now. Bubble says that's why you don't put your full name. Banjo's working. Robert Tuck is working. Nelson, if you work from home, you don't work. You don't work. Man, I'll tell you what, when I quit my job to do this, I miss out on so much YouTube content because I used to watch YouTube all day long while I was working. And now I can't. Now I can't. It's hilarious. Man, all y'all working. All y'all working. Dakota working, listening through the earbud. Angry Titans working. So are the Demons allowed to watch anything I want while at work. Corey on the job with earbuds. Michael Holt listening, working. Dylan's guilty. Dave's Game says, I'm not denying that I should be working. Michelle says, I can multitask. Joe Wallen's working in Newport. That is so fun. Man, this is the most active the chat's ever been on a Monday morning. The chat is different on a Monday morning. Like, it gets quiet. There's a few of you all that chime in and talk. It's so much different because I know y'all are working. But I know a lot of y'all like this, man. Y'all like the Monday morning shows because it gives you something to listen to at work. So that's why we do it. Monday and Friday. Monday and Friday. They just hit different. It's a different vibe. It's a different show. I feel like we're a little bit more professional around here on Mondays. Kaner comes in all dressed up. I feel like I need to start wearing a tie. Then he leaves and I start yelling at the camera. It's a different show. All right, let's hear more from Josh Heupel.
It's just a guy that, you come in as a young player, you grow off the field. He's continued to just change his body, change his ability to move, bend, the fundamentals of the game. He's done an unbelievable job just continuing to invest every single day. And when you invest, it may not always be on your time, but you're going to cash it in at some point, and made a huge play in the football game last week. He played extremely well when he was out there. We have great confidence in him.
This is certainly a bye week question, but just what was your experience like on Sunday night at the concert? And do you feel like, being able to put your brand in the spotlight in a different kind of way, just what sort of advantageous ways do you see that?
Yeah, there's very few nights during the season where you get a chance to do something like that. So it was a lot of fun. Obviously, a tremendous artist, right? But he was just so welcoming. When we got to the stadium and his family there, it was a really cool experience. It was a home game of a different kind to walk out to a full Neyland Stadium and no football on the field. It was a really cool environment. You can't beat seeing Peyton in his uniform, you know what I mean? And try to get him to come back for one more. He said he's done, but it was a neat experience, and Nico and Brew having a chance to be a part of it. It was really, really neat.
I showed my wife that clip of everybody coming out with Morgan Wallen. She's like, Heupel looks like Morgan Wallen's dad, like just stumbling around with him. I said, yeah, he walked out, and I guarantee you he immediately turned around and went up to his office and started watching tape on Arkansas, like immediately. Maybe he watched some of it with his family. Maybe. Roger, Coach Jay, you've made it. I don't think Coach Jay's in the chat anymore. Maybe he is. If he is, he's made it. Look at him. When you start becoming the emoji of people in the chat, Coach Jay, you're famous. Why did you change your profile to Coach Jay? That is so funny. So funny. But that Morgan Wallen thing, it was a big deal, man. I know we talked about it last week, but when you've got Kentucky, when you got Wildcat podcasts saying, I hate Tennessee, but you can't deny it, they are it. They are it right now. Yeah, Coach Jay saw it. Coach Jay's famous now. What the heck? You can't deny it, man. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge for marketing. It's huge for recruiting. It's huge for the brand. Being on a national stage like that. Huge, man.
Coach, you said a minute ago about Jason Jenkins investing. When did you kind of start to see that out of him? Has he always kind of done that, or just kind of would you start to see the turn to where he's at right now?
No, it's just been a continued process and journey for him. It's a guy that no matter what stage, he works every single day. You know exactly what you're going to get from him from the moment he walks up the stairs, goes to meetings, to what you see in the weight room, to what you get out on the practice field. Just a super consistent guy. And everybody's journey is a little bit different. Sometimes it happens fast, sometimes it doesn't. He's just continued to work and invest, and that's why he's playing the way that he does. It's a great lesson for a lot of young guys.
There were a couple of plays back-to-back with the fumbles. Then on the next play, it's Joshua Joseph that gets in on the fumble recovery at the 5-yard line. Yes. Yeah. What did that play tell you about the mentality of this defense to, be able to stay locked in when you're pinned back at the 5?
The way the defense handled the sudden change from our offensive turnovers is as good as anywhere I've been. And I say that just the mentality, the look in their eyes, they took the field. And then obviously creating the turnovers. It was the difference in the football game early, for sure.
As a longtime play caller and now head coach, is there a different mentality when you don't have to outscore or don't feel like you have to necessarily outscore your opponent at every game? Does that change as a head coach from a management and long-term view of your team this year?
Well, I think every game, you've heard me say it, right? You play the same game 10 times on the same day. It unfolds differently. There's just so many variables within it. The way our defense played on Saturday and the way they played early in the year, as an offense, you got to be ready to go find a way to be +1 no matter what happens. But then the game will form an identity during the course of the game. And certainly on Saturday night, the way our defense was playing, it formed an identity. And then it's about tying all three phases in together to make sure that you end up on the right side of the scoreboard.
Just win. That's all that matters. Just win. Just win. Yes, it may be a problem. If you look at your numbers, you want to look at stats and numbers and where we're at. Maybe a problem if you look at your numbers and you got the 102nd best passing offense in the country. that may be a problem. But when you look at Tennessee's numbers and you look at where they're really at, and when you got the second best scoring defense in the country, like it's like a half a point difference between Tennessee and Ohio State. When you got the number one total defense in the country, you're giving up less than 200 yards a game, then it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to have the 33rd best passing offense when you've not had to do anything. Like, who cares? You're scoring more points than anybody else in the country. Who cares if it's by running? Who cares if it's by passing? Who cares if you're scoring points on defense? Who cares if you're returning punts for touchdowns? It does not matter. I promise you all. I promise you. If Nico is 12th in the conference in passing yards or touchdowns, and we run the table and win a natty, none of y'all gonna care. Nobody's gonna care. Guess who else ain't gonna care? Nico probably not gonna care. That ain't gonna happen, but I'm just saying, none of it's gonna matter. Just win every single week. That's it.
Josh, you talked a little bit about Larry Johnson earlier. What did you guys see in him in junior college, and sort of how has he progressed in his?
Chase, all I need is a rock star, my second one of the day, and a cup of coffee, and we're ready to go. Okay? We're high on life. I'm always fired up, Chase. Always. I'm fired up just reading your comment. Maybe I drink too much caffeine in the mornings. That's what they say about me going on Caner's show. They're like, why does Boogie always roll in here like he's had 14 cups of coffee? Because usually I have.
His 2 years here to where he's able to go play in that environment and hold his own.
Big, massive frame that had the ability to bend. Knew that he had to work on his body. I say we did. When he got here, I mean, he's one of the guys we recognized during the course of multiple summers. He's done an unbelievable job with strength, but also on the nutrition side of it. He's a guy that works extremely hard, growing to learn and understand the game. And, he's just continued to climb since he's gotten here. Really proud of how he's invested, how he's worked, and now having an opportunity to get some playing time.
Looking back at the Oklahoma game, do you like how the staff handled the receiving rotation? Would you like to get more guys in, some guys on the field longer? Perfect how it is.
Talking about the wide receiver position?
Yeah, the rotation.
Well, the game, we planned on using some 12 personnel, and as the game went on, we got into more of it. So, again, it's all a part of how the game, the identity gets formed during the course of the football game. And you have a plan going into it, but then you also got to be able to adjust during the course of it.
You mentioned the game ball would go in your office. I'm wondering if you've found a spot for it yet.
Have not found a spot for it, but at some point she'll go up there.
Had a couple of late hit type things that were kind of maybe questionable calls. I'm going to get you into all that. But
which ones are you talking about?
Like Arion, that type of thing. My point is how do you?
I don't want to get fined.
How do you coach? How do you continue?
Wait, hold on.
Had a couple of late hit type things that were kind of maybe questionable calls. I'm going to get you into all that. But
which ones are you talking about?
Like Arion, that type of thing. My point is how do you?
I don't want to get fined.
How do you coach? How do you continue to tell them that, hey, keep making that play, but also be cognizant that you got to be smart about it?
Yeah, we use teachable moments from across the country, college football, NFL football, every Monday during our team meeting when we're debriefing the game, but also how we can be smarter as a football team. We show some of the things that happen, while we're playing too, and you gotta play fast, you gotta play physical, you gotta be aggressive, but you gotta be on the right side of it. And in some ways, you gotta understand how the game's going to be called. From an official's perspective, also understanding that they're human too.
Last two, Rick Rock.
Do we need a Talkin VAWLS brew t-shirt? Is that what y'all are telling me? The best part of waking up is Talkin VAWLS in your cup? See, Kevin's not in the chat again. Kevin showed up in the chat for the first time in forever on Tuesday, and then he disappears because I immediately put him to work on a t-shirt. Like, he pops in the chat, 30 seconds later, he has to go work on a t-shirt. So he just quits coming in the chat now. Just doesn't show up anymore. He's like, I'm not doing it. I'm tired of having to make t-shirts all day, every day. I don't know. We'll see.
Coach, obviously Arkansas coming up, but with the open date, will you have a chance to look in on Georgia, Alabama with both of those teams also on the schedule this year?
I have not planned my Saturday yet with my kids, so at some point I'll sit down and watch some ball, and would assume I get a chance to watch a little bit of that one. Hopefully my daughter takes me out on the golf course and beats up on me.
Josh, what have you thought of how Elijah?
I love that, man. They ask him every bye week. They're like, what games you going to watch? How much football are you going to watch? And it's like, dude, you understand this guy never, ever sees his family, ever. That's like, even obviously nowhere near that scale. It's like, let's do a watch party Saturday, Alabama, Georgia. And that would have been fun. That would have been awesome. It's like, man, I see my family 2 nights a week. 2 nights a week, I get to spend time with them. And I got a little one that gets home from school around 5:15. And that's about the time I come downstairs and start working. So it's like time with him is limited during the football season. So I love that every time they ask Heupel about, what games you going to watch, it's always about his kids, man. Always. I love that. I mean, the dude has no time, none. That's why, does he deserve $9 million, $10 million, whatever it is he's getting paid? I don't know. We dictate that by going to games, buying merch, supporting the team. I guess he deserves it, but the guy never gets to see his family. Is it worth it? I don't know. We all make sacrifices, but I love that every time they ask him on Saturday, what are you going to be doing on the bye week? I'm going to spend time with my family. How about that? It's awesome. Love it.
Elijah Simmons has played so far, and where has he progressed from last year?
Well, set the tone with the first play of the football game, just violent and destructive. He played that way all night long. Does a great job in the goal line situation, eating up 2 blockers and not getting moved off of the line of scrimmage. So he's playing extremely well. Our defensive line as an entire group is playing extremely hard, really physical and playing with great fundamentals. Elijah's a guy, like when we first got here, just his ability to bend has continued to improve, which makes him an even more powerful, functional football player. And he's a guy that, like a couple of the other guys that I talked about today, just exactly what you're getting, man. He's a really mature guy, and when he comes out on the practice field, he's ready to work. Thank you all.
All right, that's going to do it, Coach Heupel, during the bye week. It's also going to do it for the Talkin VAWLS morning show. I usually like to make a video after the morning show, but speaking of the little guy and family and all that type of stuff, his school's closed today because of the power stuff, so I'm going to go spend some time with him today. So I doubt I will get a video out. Probably get something out tomorrow morning, and then we'll be back tomorrow night. DJ Boogie returns. We backed our way into fixing this thing. We backed our way into fixing StreamYard. We made a mistake that led to us finding a secret way to fix StreamYard. So we can get the camera fixed back. DJ Boogie returns. I hope you guys will come hang out. Tuesday nights hit differently, but we'll have videos coming your way. DJ Boogie, EA Sports College Football tomorrow night at 6:30. Talkin VAWLS live Wednesday at 7. We'll dig more into this Arkansas game, make our official predictions. Coach Jay will be back for the morning show on Friday morning. Tailgate show an hour before kickoff on Saturday, and then post-game show immediately following the game. If you've not hit the thumbs up yet, smash it on the way out the door. We appreciate it. Get those memberships up to date. If you don't have a Power T beside your name, but you like these morning shows, don't make me go back for working for the man. I can't do it. So we need those memberships. Hit that join button. We would appreciate it. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call